We're starting with breaking news out of the Twin Cities tonight. A jury acquitted a Minnesota police officer of manslaughter and other charges in the deadly shooting of Philando Castile, whose girlfriend streamed the aftermath of the altercation live on Facebook. As Danielle Nottingham reports, Castile's mother says the officer got away with murder.
This city killed my son, and the murderer gets away.
Family members reacted with outrage following the acquittal of Officer Geronimo Yanez in the shooting death of Philando Castile during a traffic stop in a St. Paul suburb last July.
I am so disappointed in the state of Minnesota.
Castile's girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, live streamed the incident on Facebook after Officer Yanez shot Castile. It happened just seconds after Castile told the officer he was carrying a gun. Castile had a permit for the firearm.
My brother was a good man.
Officer Yanez testified Castile was pulling the weapon out of his pocket despite Yanez's orders not to. The defense also argued Castile was high on marijuana at the time. Prosecutors questioned whether Yanez ever actually saw the gun and argued Yanez overreacted and that Castile posed no danger to the officer. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News.
The city of St. Anthony announced it intends to offer Officer Yanez a voluntary separation agreement to move him to another career other than a St. Anthony police officer. Until details are finalized, Yanez will not return to active duty. Our Friday night will be similar to last night. Some of us need to be on the lookout for some rain. Robert, does any of it look severe?
No severe weather, nothing like what we saw a week ago on a Friday night with all kinds of severe weather around. Tonight, just a few showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder and some mild temperatures, mostly into the 70s, a bit cooler in a few locations, including Langdon at 61, 66 in Baudette, 78, the warm spot here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Winds not quite as breezy as yesterday, but we'll still see some gusty winds as we head through this evening. So if you're heading out and about, you'll have to contend with those as well as a bit of cloudiness and a few showers. Just a few rumbles of thunder, a little bit of lightning showing up in some of the activity in the far northern valley. Here in the Fargo-Moorhead area, we've seen a few light sprinkles over at the Lakes Country, a few showers there as well, and we'll see some off and on showers as we head through the rest of the evening, included with a chance for a rumble of thunder, especially across the far north. Here in Fargo, I think we stay away from the thunder, but we could still see an isolated shower as we head through the 7, 8, and 9 o'clock hours, and temperatures slowly falling into the lower 70s. The Father's Day weekend is upon us. How's the weather looking for all those dads out there? We'll let you know coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Robert.
You got it.
During the threat of severe weather, statistics show the majority of people do not have a plan at all. You've heard the advice before. Go to the basement during a tornado watch or warning. But where should you go if you live in a mobile home? It's a common question we get here at Valley News Live when there's severe weather. Crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson explains why there's confusion and what you should do here in the Valley.
I always thought, where would you go?
Rick Olson has lived at the Countryside Trailer Park for most of his life. Years ago, a tornado warning got him thinking.
I lived here, my mom lived next door, and she come running up, nowhere to go.
He drove himself and his mom to a safe place, but says there should be a better plan.
I don't have a basement, so I would either go to somebody's house that I knew that had a basement or maybe over to the church.
Maybe the downtown, like the one I know over there. That would be possible.
What would happen if your neighbors didn't have anywhere to go?
I don't know.
Kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
It was scary for her. I mean, and if there's elderly people in here yet, where would they go? You know, like guy over there, where would he go? You know, it's just it.
If bad weather strikes, we're told mobile home owners on the North Dakota side need to come up with their own plan. There are no public shelters. Either find a nearby underground parking garage or a store that's open all hours of the night. On the other side of the river in Minnesota, there's a law that requires all mobile home parks to have an emergency plan. Typically, it's a nearby church or grocery store.
Nobody worries anymore, but that was petrified. My mom, and I thought, where would we go?
That's the question emergency authorities say each person needs to ask, saying it's your responsibility to have a plan in place before bad weather strikes. Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
And if you live in an apartment, many buildings have a storm shelter. But if there isn't one, you should go to the lowest level of the building, like an underground garage, a first floor apartment, or a storage area. A Grand Forks man is facing several charges after a high-speed chase and standoff with police that spanned more than 15 hours. Dustin Berry of Grand Forks is currently facing charges of fleeing, reckless driving, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. But authorities say more charges may be coming. They say it started around 8:30 last night. The high-speed chase led officers north from Grand Forks and I-29 and then back into town. Berry and an unidentified woman then ditched their vehicle near the Grand Forks airport and took off in a stolen ATV before stealing a pickup and crashing into a ditch. That's when police arrested the woman, but Berry took off on foot. It wasn't until 5:30 this morning that officers got a report of a suspicious man knocking on a homeowner's door near the Grand Forks airport. Berry allegedly then barricaded himself inside a nearby home for nearly 8 hours. The bomb squad, SWAT team, and crisis negotiators were brought in to negotiate, and Berry had to be taken to Altru Hospital for treatment of a self-induced injury. We're also following new developments in a story we brought to you out of Barnes County, North Dakota. An Ariska man is now facing felony charges after an incident that left him with a gunshot wound to the chest. An arrest warrant has now been issued for 30-year-old Andrew Gubrud on terrorizing and criminal trespass charges. The Barnes County Sheriff's Office was called out to Lake Ashtabula on a report of a man holding a firearm outside of a cabin. Witnesses say the incident started when Gubrud broke into a cabin with 4 women inside and pulled a gun on them. He somehow ended up with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Gubrud could face up to 5 years behind bars for each charge. A Massachusetts woman who encouraged her boyfriend to commit suicide over a text has been found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. It happened when they were teenagers. Nikki Batiste has a story from New York.
Law there too now finds you guilty on the indictment charging you with the involuntary manslaughter of the person Conrad Roy III.
20-year-old Michelle Carter stood stoic when juvenile court judge Lawrence Moniz found her guilty of causing the suicide death of her boyfriend, Conrad Roy. He was discovered in his truck in a deserted Kmart parking lot in Fairhaven, Massachusetts in July 2014, dead of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Knowing that Mr. Roy is in the truck, knowing the condition of the truck.
The judge said Carter knew that 18-year-old Roy had been suicidal when he started to fill his truck with carbon monoxide, but he exited the truck seeking fresh air and texted Carter, who replied, "Get back inside." It was one of dozens of texts she'd sent him, telling him to kill himself.
She indicates that she can hear him coughing and she can hear the loud noise of the motor.
The judge found her actions were reckless and created a life-threatening situation for Roy, and she had a duty to help him.
She did not call the police or Mr. Roy's family.
Roy's family was in the courtroom, many of them crying throughout the verdict.
This has been a very tough time for our family, and we'd like to just process this verdict that we're happy with.
Carter is free on bail, but she can't leave Massachusetts. She is scheduled to be sentenced in August and could face up to 20 years in prison. Nikki Batiste for CBS News.
The American Civil Liberties Union in Massachusetts condemned the verdict, saying it violates free speech protections. Remember to like Valley News Live on Facebook. That way you can follow the latest news, weather, and breaking news updates anytime on your feed. Just search Valley News Live, like our page, and you'll stay informed throughout the entire day. The 3rd annual Tom Bierson Foundation golf outing has been set for mid-July in Sartell, Minnesota. Bierson was an NDSU freshman who disappeared in 2014 and then was found dead 3 days later in a Moorhead RV lot. Bierson's killer has not yet been found, but Bierson's parents say the investigation is still active. The annual golf outing will be held at the Blackberry Ridge Golf Course on July 15th. The event kicks off at 1 in the afternoon. There will also be a dinner at 6 p.m. You can go ahead and register for the event on our website. Go to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. We spotted a couple of new stores that are opening in the Valley, and today we're answering the question, what is it? The 9 Kids has opened off Washington Avenue in Detroit Lakes. The 9 Kids sells boys and girls clothes starting at infant sizes up to tween sizes and accessories. The store is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And over in Fargo, a new restaurant is coming to the downtown area. Duran's Southern Soul Food and West Indian cuisine will now move into the Old Border Cities service, which is located on North University Drive. The restaurant will serve Southern and Caribbean food like grits and pork chops, according to its owner, Darrell Randall. The average plate will cost about $11 to $13. The restaurant is set to open in the end of July. Well, do you know where chocolate milk comes from? It might seem like a silly question, but a recent survey says 7% of adult Americans believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. If you do the math, that works out to be 16.4 million misinformed milk drinkers. That's more than the population of Ohio. The Washington Post linked the study to past studies that consistently show many Americans have no idea where their food comes from. For example, a study in the 1990s found that nearly 20% of people did not know hamburgers are made from beef. Well, if you're still searching for the perfect Father's Day gift, we've got some ideas for your dad. If he loves to get it on the green, golf balls, new clubs, or a rangefinder are a great way to wrap up. With a number of local breweries around, a growler or gift card could give him a cold one to celebrate his day. For the car enthusiasts, new floor mats can be a good one. And in-store in the new area will detail your car to look brand new.
The gift of that clean car, a lot of people are jumping for joy. I've seen tears in the eyes because they're so excited, like it's a brand new car again. So it's a pretty good gift.
If you don't know exactly what to wrap up, a gift card to his favorite store might be a great way to make Dad happy. Hundreds of kids were out this morning with their favorite stuffed bears for the Teddy Bear Parade at Island Park in Fargo. The VFW Post 762 led the parade. Participants were encouraged to bring a canned food item to the benefit, the Great Plains Food Bank. And after the parade, Island Park was filled with educational booths and carnival games for the little ones to enjoy. Amazon is buying